Device marketing promises a flawless, straight line. But on a city map, the reality is a chaotic, zigzagging mess. Trackers boast 2-meter accuracy, true only in flat, open fields. Add buildings, and that location drift expands to 30 meters. Your device isn't broken. This massive location error is a physical limitation of how radio waves interact with the environment around you. First is multipath interference. Satellite signals hit glass skyscrapers and fracture, so your receiver catches delayed echoes instead of a single direct path. The second issue is vegetation attenuation. Dense tree canopies and wet foliage physically absorb and scatter radio waves before they ever reach the ground. The tech industry has developed hardware to punch through these specific problems, primarily using dual-band GNSS for wearables and cellular IoT for fleet tracking. But upgrading to these technologies forces a severe trade-off. You can solve the physics problem, but you have to balance absolute positional accuracy against how fast your battery drains and how much it costs to deploy. The core dilemma for anyone buying a smartwatch or managing a fleet of asset trackers is power. Processing more resilient signals requires more energy, which drains the battery faster. To prevent devices dying in the field, you must match the radio frequency capability of your hardware directly to the specific interference in your environment. Buy too much hardware for a mild environment, and you waste power and money. Buy too little hardware for a harsh environment, and your tracking data becomes completely useless. Making the right choice requires looking closely at the 3 dominant tracking environments: the urban canyon, the forest canopy, and the enterprise scale. Deep downtown grids create what engineers call an urban canyon. The towering architecture physically blocks the direct line of sight to the satellites above. This matrix shows how a standard single-band, or L1 receiver operates here. It blindly accepts delayed echoes bouncing off the surrounding glass and steel. This standard approach requires very little power to run. However, because the receiver calculates its position based on those bounce signals, you get unacceptable location drift. The solution for this environment is a dual-band receiver, utilizing both L1 and L5 frequencies. By catching 2 distinct signals, the device identifies and strips out the delayed echoes, shrinking the error radius to under 4 meters. Because the L5 signal travels at a different frequency, it behaves differently when it hits a building. The algorithm compares the 2 inputs and mathematically determines which path is the direct hit. Getting that sub-4-meter accuracy in a dense city comes at a steep cost in battery life. Calculating those dual frequencies requires constant, heavy processing power, which severely limits how long an athlete or an asset can stay untethered. Move out of the city and into deep wilderness, and the physical problem changes to specific attenuation, the rate at which wet foliage absorbs radio signals. This chart from the ITU shows specific attenuation through vegetation. Notice the upward slope. As frequency increases, signal loss rises sharply. Below 1 GHz, vertically polarized signals, the V-line, suffer noticeably higher attenuation than horizontal ones because they scatter off vertical tree trunks. If you rely on standard tracking frequencies under a dense, wet canopy, the leaves and timber will scatter and absorb the signal until the connection drops entirely. Adding the secondary L5 frequency gives the receiver a much better chance of pushing through that biological interference. The device maintains a stable lock, yielding consistent lap times and reliable route data. But forcing a connection through heavy timber taxes the battery heavily. For ultramarathoners or remote environmental sensors, you have to weigh that accuracy against the high risk of the device dying mid-route. Scaling this up to the enterprise level, managing trucking fleets, shipping logistics, or smart city infrastructure across massive geographic areas requires a different calculus entirely. We can map the landscape by comparing positional accuracy on the y-axis against power efficiency on the x-axis. In the bottom right is cellular IoT. Piggybacking on existing cell towers instead of satellites allows their batteries to last for months or years. That extreme efficiency is perfect for transmitting simple, stationary status updates, like a smart meter reporting usage. But for pinpoint geographic tracking of moving assets, pure cellular triangulation is highly inaccurate. In the top left is the hybrid solution. These units actively calculate their exact position using satellite tracking, but then use the cellular network to transmit that location back to headquarters for real-time oversight. A hybrid tracker is the ultimate fleet management tool, but it extracts a massive penalty. You pay upfront for the complex hardware, and you pay continuously for the cellular data subscriptions required to keep them online. Base your purchasing decisions strictly on your operating environment and your data needs. We start with one question: what is your primary operating environment? If you are tracking assets in open agriculture or running in flat, open suburbs, you belong in the standard single-band GPS category. The physical radio interference in these open spaces isn't severe enough to justify the heavy battery drain of dual-frequency processing. Save your money and conserve your power. However, if you are an athlete training under deep timber or navigating a downtown grid, standard tracking will fail you. You require dual-band GNSS hardware to function. To manage the inevitable battery hit, look for devices featuring automatic frequency switching. This software only powers on the L5 band when it detects that the signal is dropping, preserving energy when you hit open clearings. Finally, for large-scale operations requiring constant geolocation and remote status reporting across difficult terrain, a hybrid setup combining GPS and cellular IoT is your only viable path. There is simply no single perfect tracking technology. The ultimate setup, whether on your wrist or across 1,000 shipping containers, is achieved by precisely matching the radio frequency physics of your specific tracking hardware to the hostility of your exact environment.